Why Berachain, right? What's the main catch on Berachain?
Yeah, so what sets it apart is this whole unique concept of POL, and what that means is
this super hot NFT mint happening on Berachain yesterday.
Oh my god! Yeah.
From my understanding, you earn BGT by doing these things, but you can't just like, go and buy BGT, right? Do you want to hit us with like a price prediction for BERA by 2025? What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Berachain and specifically these BGT rewards, why you should care about those, and what you can do with them, like vaulting them on Wasabi for a high APY, but to be able to earn more of this BGT token. I'm going to dive in today with my friend Yaba, an OG Berachain farmer. How's it going today, Yaba?
Yo, and I believe the formal introduction would be Hinlo and Ooga Booga, or Ooga Booga. So
okay, I'm familiar with that now. By the way, I'm familiar with Ooga Booga now, as of like last week.
Ooga Booga furthermore.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. We're going to get right into it. It's going to be a super quick podcast. It's going to be like we're going to get into the meat and potatoes pretty quickly. Man, I do want to say that this interview about understanding BGT, why it's important, why you would want it and treasure it, is brought to you by Wasabi. And towards the end of this short segment, I do want to talk about the fact that you can actually vault BERA on Wasabi's platform to earn a very high APY and earn bonus BGT rewards. So I'm going to show you that at the end, and I want your opinion on it, Yaba, on the rewards that you get through doing this. I do want to break the ice. Let's say like somebody has never heard of Berachain before. Like, why Berachain, right? Like, why not like, I don't know, Solana? Is Berachain like the Cosmos to Ethereum, or what's the main catch on Berachain?
Well, before we start, I just want to say thanks, Chris, for having me on, man. First and foremost. Secondly, I would like to correct a record. I'm not an OG, but I've been around for about 4 or 5 months, focusing fully on it, because there are people that have been doing this for far longer than I have, because it's taken so long for the chain to come out, for better or worse. But to answer your question, though, or I guess, could you repeat the question for me again?
Yeah, why Berachain?
Yeah, so what sets it apart is this whole unique concept of POL, and this is something that the reason that I've been focusing on it so much is because it's such an interesting concept. I mean, basically, if you haven't heard of it, POL is called proof of liquidity, and what that means is basically, liquidity is everything, and you get rewarded as a user for LPing on Berachain or locking up your tokens. And those tokens come in the form of BGT, which is Berachain's governance token. So, and for BGT, you can redeem 1 BGT for 1 BERA at any time. But here's a catch. The more BGT you get, the more power the more voting power you get, and potential earning power you get. So it makes sense to actually accumulate BGT instead of redeeming and burning BGT, because what you do is and I'm gonna try to explain this as simply as I can, or as I understand it. But what I've found out, Chris, is that DeFi is hard, a little bit more complex than you would think, and it can go as deep as you want it to go. But and I know it's can be a complicated concept for a lot of people, but let's see. So you got for example, like I do, you got a pool. Everything right now takes place for the most part on Berachain's swap, which is BeraSwap. And you can access
let me pause you real quick. 2 things. One, I don't know if you saw this, but I had a wedding to go to yesterday. My wife, but I had this super hot NFT mint happening on Berachain yesterday.
Oh my god!
At Steady Teddy's. So I called up the wife and I was like, "Yo, I gotta walk you through this. Like, you gotta mint this. I have like a allow list for this. It's important, dude." Not only did she mint that for me, she like ended up using BeraSwap to swap, because I had, don't ask me why, but I had honey, but I didn't have BERA. So I had to swap the honey for BERA and to mint it. So she got on BeraSwap. She swapped honey for BERA, which is honey is BERA's stablecoin, and she ended up minting one of the steady teddies for me. So that was super cool. And two, I don't know if you said it out loud, but if you did, I'm sorry. But just POL is proof of liquidity, right?
POL is proof of liquidity, and I know that it stands for there's another thing it stands for, right? But in this case, it's proof of liquidity, right?
Awesome. Okay, we're caught up.
And I will say that, Chris, by the way, I wasn't as lucky as you. I wanted to mint steady teddies. I actually had a whitelist, but unfortunately, I was on a plane and could not get there, man. And I'm hurt about that, man. I'm really so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to buy now or not, but we'll see. But
let's reel back into these BGT rewards.
But yeah, the BGT.
Just trying to understand BGT. So you said at any given point you can redeem 1 BERA for 1 BGT. But from my understanding, like, you want to hold BGT because there's a lot of incentive there. So does that mean that you cannot redeem 1 BERA for 1 BGT? It's just like a one-sided, like, from my understanding, you earn BGT by doing these things, but you can't just go and buy BGT, right? It has to be earned.
Yeah, in a nutshell, yeah. I mean, they have other derivatives of BGT, but they're not as flexible as BGT. I'll talk about that in a sec. But I mean, in a nutshell, you can only earn BGT by providing liquidity. You can, and it's once you burn it, you've burned it. Right, so you can't go back and reclaim the BGT that you burnt or swap back into native BGT. The only way you can get that is by providing liquidity. So that's why.
Or vaulting on Wasabi.
Say what now?
I said, or vaulting on Wasabi.
Or vaulting on Wasabi, yeah, man. I mean, and that's one of that's the cool thing about the whole concept too of a proof of liquidity, is it just incentivizes the right actions for users and developers and the chain itself, man. I mean, it's just all interconnected. And going back and how that happens is, like I was saying, you go to the hub.berachain is where actually the magic happens right now, right? You say you want to provide liquidity for a pool. Right now, I'm looking at, for example, WBTC wrap BERA. That's now yielding 29.17%. BGT and APR, right? So I provide the liquidity. I stake those liquidity tokens with inside of that program, right? And I immediately begin earning BGT with no problem, doing nothing. So I mean, I'm getting BERA for just chilling. I mean, that's what you call the definition of farming. So and here's the other part about this. All right, so with the BGT, you start to stake with validators, right? So validators are validating the chain, they're validating the transactions on the chain. Validators have a lot of power because validators can direct where to send that BGT to, what pool to send that BGT to, right? PL just went live, right? So there are actually a lot more protocols and coins that are actually earning BGT now for their LP pools, and they have to bribe validators. This is the cool thing, right? So if I'm a protocol, say Wasabi, right, I need to bribe these users, which for example, if you're going to stake BGT, I have to bribe you for your BGT. How am I going to bribe you for that BGT, Chris? You don't know?
You are going to offer me rewards.
I'm going to offer you rewards. Bingo.
Yes.
What reward would it be?
Your native token, whatever you're trying to pitch to me, your token or your product.
Exactly. 100%, man. See, I knew you were a shark in this game, man. That's right. But yeah, so basically as a protocol like Wasabi, I would incentivize you to direct BGT, or to get the validator to direct BGT to my pool, because I'm going to bribe that validator with tokens, which if you're staking with that validator, you've staked your BGT with that validator, you are entitled to a portion of that percentage. So one of the other things you can, I guess, think about here is that it's a good thing that they can do it this way, because as a protocol, you don't have to dole out as many of your tokens as you would if you didn't have any additional incentive. So what is happening is like you're bribing the user to provide liquidity for a portion of your tokens, and then the chain and its ecosystem, if you're a good protocol and people love you, whatever, they're adding additional rewards on top of that. So that way you reduce sell pressure on your token. You incentivize the right actions for people to hold a token and not just necessarily trade it. They're actually providing liquidity, so that makes sure your token have a lot deeper liquidity, which is always good, right? People want to swap in and swap out. So you know, it as a validator, you're gonna make sure that you're validating the projects that have actual, you know, positive EV. For example, like you don't want, I mean, I don't think you want to waste your votes or your BGT delegations to protocols that aren't really active on the active in this, you know, have, you know, aren't worth nothing, or you know their tokens aren't going to be worth nothing. I'm sure that's going to
makes
happen,
sense.
but you know, it's so I believe that this incentivizes everybody, you know, so it's users, it's validators, it's the protocol, all working in unison to make sure that liquidity is there and it's deep, and you're getting rewarded for it.
Awesome. And that leads us to this next section. One of the protocols they chose was Wasabi, which uses, by the way, directly Ooga Booga, and I forgot the name of the other company, but if you refer back to my last video where I talked about it, basically to where it taps into the chain. It's not just, it's like all on chain when you're operating here. I'm sharing a screen right now, Yaba, if you can see it. Ironically, Wasabi, their tweet says Wasabi loves a good bribe. P1xel Systems allows us to provide 115% APY with BGT emissions. And then it goes over here to say Wasabi is now bribing, basically the same thing. So you deposit BERA, you instantly earn 115% APY plus BGT emissions. Additionally, you earn the 4x Wasabi points in the next for the next 48 hours. So if you hop over to Wasabi, the platform, this is what I really want to show you. I wonder if it lets me zoom in here.
Yeah.
So this is the 116% APY, and I actually already have some BERA on this account, some that I can actually deposit on here, and I'll show you exactly what I earned. But I basically want your opinion on this. Like, it looks like you're getting a very high APY, but you're also getting, oh, this is my is this not my Google browser? Oh, here. Okay, let me share this other screen. But essentially, I want your opinion on, like, you know, earning this APY, but also earning rewards, like how this looks like. Well, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I like Wasabi. I haven't had a chance to dig in as much as I wanted to. I mean, Wasabi, just briefly give me a rundown of that. Wasabi is basically a leverage platform where I can play around with leverage.
It's a leverage platform that you play around with leverage. You can actually 10x leverage. You can actually 10x leverage BERA now. it was like up to 3x. But one of my favorite things about Wasabi is it's all done on chain. So what you saw with the Hyperliquid, how Hyperliquid has like their liquidity that you pull out of that happened with the jelly thing. That's not the case for Wasabi. It actually taps into the chain and pulls on the chain. That's why I said they actually tap into Ooga Booga, and they use the other platform that I cannot think of right now. But they also have these vaults, which again is done on chain. And this is what I was going to show you. So if I click on the vault, I can actually deposit my BERA. I have 11 BERA to deposit here. So I'm gonna go ahead and deposit like 10. And it happens pretty quick, so you can't see, but I'm confirming a transaction. And basically I'll be earning this 114% APY on top of the BGT rewards, on top of the Wasabi points. So you can see right now it already says 116% APY, and I'll be earning those BGT rewards as well.
So I mean, this is exactly what POL is all about, man. I mean, and I love it. I like the UI of Wasabi. I think this is like one of the first times of me like actually seeing it, or maybe I've seen it before, but it might have changed. But this is exactly why BGT or POL is so interesting to me. It was because it incentivizes you to lock liquidity. Like these protocols really need liquidity, right? Especially this one right here. It needs deep liquidity. So what it is incentivizing you to lock that BERA, and you're earning BGT on it, just from the chain, from providing that liquidity. You're earning BGT
Exactly.
on it, and it looks like they're also giving you some type of rewards points for this as well. So, I mean, it's to me, it's just a no brainer. Obviously, you got to consider your risk and everything with volatile tokens or whatnot, but I don't see any other chains really providing this type of incentive for locking liquidity. I mean, do you? Am
Yeah,
I
and
wrong?
I don't know, especially with a platform like this, because it's
Yeah.
all done on chain. And you can even see up here the vaults on Berachain
Hmm.
is you earn auto compounding yield in the token deposits. No need to manage complex strategies. But this is the part that I keep on talking about: full self custody of your assets with zero fees on deposits, no lockups, and no risk of impermanent loss. And then it goes on to say strengthens Berachain while earning real yield. Your deposits contribute to the network's liquidity, which is what you're saying, proof of liquidity, and
Hmm.
security through what you've been talking about, the POL,
Hmm.
aligning incentives for both you and the ecosystem. So super cool that they kind of tapped into BERA's ethos here, I feel like.
Oh, 100%, man. And that's why and I mentioned it before earlier, is like it's the incentive part. Like I feel like crypto, we've had a really big problem with aligning incentives between the developers, the degens, the network. And I just feel like this has been one of the few protocols that I've seen that made sense to me, to where the user is getting a benefit from actually participating. The validator is getting a benefit for participating um, in the chain, and is actually helping to cultivate and curate good projects. And the projects are actually getting incentivized for by having a good product and having people come there and uh, contribute their liquidity and lock it in there. So it makes it for a smooth user experience. And all of this reduces sell pressure on the token Wasabi. It reduces sell pressure on even with the inflation, it reduces sell pressure on BERA. Um, so I because you want to keep that BERA locked in there. You want to keep it working. You want to keep keep earning that BGT. And to keep doing that, you got to lock a couple things. You got to lock that token, man. So I mean, I think the incentives are just 100% well played.
Love it, love it. Well, yeah, but we already over time. I know it's a little short. I
Yeah.
do want to say, everybody who's watching this, give Yaba a follow on Twitter. I'll definitely display that on the screen once we get done with the edits on this video. It's Yaba Deluxe. Go follow him. Interact with his stuff.
Yeah,
He says
follow me.
he said it was an OG farmer, but I mean, like, you're farming, but basically right when the chain launched, or if not before launch. That's what I mean. So even though it's
And
only
I'll
been
tell you,
6 months, it's
not
a long time in Web3.
not only that, man, but it is like a lot. It takes a lot of effort. I feel like I found, and I have been at this for like 4 or 5 months, day in, day out. I still feel dumb. So I mean, but it's cool because you get into any one of these communities on Berachain, especially the OG protocols. I feel like they're very welcoming. It's a very fun culture. They'll help you all out as much as they can, and it's just quite a journey, man. It's at the end of the day, it's probably the most fun I've had since I've been in, especially in the last couple years for sure.
Love to hear it, man. Before we conclude, you want to hit us with like a price prediction for BERA by 2025?
$20 by
Okay.
2025. I think we can go
Okay.
what, a 3x roughly
Yeah,
about
yeah,
from
yeah.
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, man. Thanks so much for jumping in today. Really appreciate you. And yeah, if you guys are watching this, give this video a like, a share, subscribe, comment, all those things, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace
Super
out.
fun, Chris, man. Appreciate you.